This is the prolific teaching ministry of Apostle Tolu, the lead pastor of His Worship Christian Network. Brace yourself for an experience of enlightenment, education, and transformation as you engage with this episode.
There are attributes that predispose a man to the summons of the king. Our kingdom is a kingdom of privileges, but not anything in the kingdom is, not everything in the kingdom is free. Are you with me? There are things he gives freely, but there are unique things in the kingdom that are not given freely. That's what the story of Joseph tells us. That Joseph was one man who did not suddenly happen on a throne. He had built a track record of separated existence. And that's where I'm going to close. Isaiah's testimony in Isaiah chapter 6 was what? Woe is me, for I am undone. What else did he say? For I am a man of unclean lips. And his alibi, his excuse was that he dwelt in the midst of a people of unclean lips. If you dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips, your unclean lips will be excused, because it means that all of you are the same. Sometimes when somebody is trying to teach purity, somebody will say it's a lie. Everybody lies. Everybody sleeps around. When people talk like that, it's because they are looking for a soft ground that, oh, we are all the same. In our church at home, we used to have a deacon. He's late now. When they tell him to come and pray prayer of thanksgiving, you know that prayer in Yoruba church. What? Adra, Okpe. There's a way he used to define us every day. Oluwa, adupe lowo yin, awa bi gbogbo ara kiki ese. One day my mom walked up to him to say, stop that thing. For how long must we be gbogbo ara kiki ese? Is there no righteousness in us? It's a comfort zone. It's not everybody that's like that. Are you with me? Joseph had a viable reason to be corrupt. He had a legitimate reason to just blend into the background like a chameleon. That's how the average believer is. When he's in church, he's a saint. When he gets into the dark sides of the territory, he just blends. His light goes off. His life is operated by a switch. And then when it comes to church, he shines again. That bipolar existence, God will not accept that kind of person. Joseph was distinct. Even in that, he was advertising Jesus. For thou lovest righteousness and hated iniquity. Therefore God, even thy God, hath anointed thee with the oil of gladness. When you get home, do a research on what the oil of gladness is. It's not the oil of excitement. The oil of gladness, I think it should be Mimshak. It's the oil by which kings are enthroned. So thou anointed, even thy God has anointed thee with the oil of kingship or enthronement far above. So it's that oil of gladness that puts a man above others. So all of us can be equal today, but if you love righteousness and you hate iniquity, you will not end at everybody's level. You will shoot up. That was Joseph. You see that his life was a story of the life of Jesus in many areas. He was the one who saw the day they took one goat and killed it, and then they now stained somebody's body with blood to say, oh, the goat actually, we didn't eat it. Oh, a lion came. He was not part of the iniquity of his brethren. By what mind? I don't know. Because it's possible to be in the same house, but to have different teachers. Pastor, you know there were people in the Old Testament, we don't even know who taught them. Who taught Abel to offer a good sacrifice? Who taught Noah to offer clean creatures? It was as though there was a teaching dimension of their callings that separated them from their generation. For of Noah, it was also said that Noah was pure in his generation. There was a stain of the Adamic fall in the average person. Somehow, Noah was able to express above it until after the flood, when he also fell for alcohol is not a sin. May God give you understanding. Abi, that's how he fell. So I close with the words. To meet the king, you will need to be like the Christ. I spoke a lot about Joseph and used his life to tell the story of Jesus, because God's template for the divine approach is Christ. And so I put before you Christ again, but I put before you the Christ in Joseph. What's your name? Bukumi. I trust Jesus that if he tarries after another 60 years, when people sit down to want to reach Jesus, your life will be a story that reveals him. Maybe the subject will be devotion. How a man can be devoted to the cause of God. And then we pick aspects of your life and we find out that your life was the story of Jesus that was being foretold. Based on that expression of Joseph, he will have qualified in the Old Testament as a prophet. Because prophets don't only advertise the future by words. Some of them advertise the future by life. Are you with me? So he was a prophet of great stature, a messianic prophet. And he expressed his prophetic ministry in life, not words. Maybe one of the big discrepancies was that Joseph never said, God said. There were only two communications boldly from spiritual communications that he had, was dreams. And they could have been mistaken, Pastor Diola, for normal dreams. But he was possessed by the visions of the future. And he began to build his life in alignment to ensure that what he saw came to pass. The throne is not for people who live carelessly. It's not for people who live casually. And when God finds out that you have chosen the path of carelessness, one of the things that he does is that he becomes intentional about communicating to you. Can I borrow a line from scriptures that in the day that you hear his voice, harden not your heart? I bring before you Jesus through the lenses of the man Joseph. That there was a man who was deliberate about his existence. A man who journeyed successfully onto that place where the king ultimately invited him. He expressed as the deliverance that God had chosen him to do. So he was a warrior of some sort. Some of you are warriors in the agricultural sphere. Joseph is the pioneer in that place. The survival of the total known world was built on his wisdom. Are you with me? Yes. Was built on his wisdom. One man. Because the king gave a dream. And I need to announce to you that kings are having dreams. Are you with me? Kings are dreaming. People in positions of authority are having dreams. But there are no interpreters. And from the story of Joseph, one of the reasons why interpreters are scarce is that consecrated men are few. Because there are dimensions of the divine wisdom that unconsecrated men cannot possess. You are limited by consecration. When I say consecration, it's a life that is devoted only to one. It's that you are not living to advance yourself. You are only living to advance your Lord. Consecrated men are the lovers. No eyes have seen, no ears have heard, and no mind has conceived. Those three words or those three phrases define what we call in the kingdom the realm of the uncommon. Bolu, there are things that God will do for people that you and I know. Even unbelievers will eat tomorrow morning. That's a common realm. I was sharing with somebody 2 weeks ago. I said, don't build your supply, your food, eating. Don't labor to be righteous so that you can eat. Unrighteous men eat. I want to be holy so that I can pass my exams. That's a weak reason. There are many ways to pass an exam. One lentoma low and lesobel. There are weightier things. God, the Bible says that no eyes have seen, no ears have heard. It has not entered into the hearts of men what God has in store for those that he loves. Is that what the Bible says? For those that love him. Your proof of love is consecration. Living to obey his commands alone. That's what opens us into the exclusive class. Pray, because prayer is very important. And fast too. So pray much, fast much, study much, but love him. Because prayer can strengthen your handle on the realm of the common. Only consecration will take you into the uncommon dimension. Advertise a man before you who was a type of the Christ. Joseph, we don't know what school of consecration he went to. But you see, 11 corrupt men could not weaken his purity. You are strong. You are strong. He was a man that operated under the old, the covenant had not even been instituted. So it was the regime of conscience that they operated with. You operate within the confines of grace. You are strong. There are 300 students in your department. You can stand out. You don't believe me? One with God, our fathers used to say, it's not in the Bible, Abi? It's in the Bible. One with God, what do they say? He is majority. You can stand. Those are the lessons from the life of the man Joseph. As he chose to give God an opportunity to advertise Jesus in his own little way. It's not a loud ending tonight to want to bow down your heads. Beyond the capturing of the entirety of the revelations of the Christ, you were also raised by God to advertise a specific trait of the Christ in dominance. Some of you, purity. Others, his wisdom. Another one, his devotion. Some other one, his righteousness. Many things, but a dominant one. I want you to be intentional, asking the Lord, let my life tell the tales of my Lord. Joseph. Let my life tell the tales of my Lord, that when men cannot see him, if they see me, my life will interpret the Jesus that they cannot see. Daddy said to us last week Sunday that the Christian is like a mistaken Christ. What he expresses is so close that except you know the person intimately, you cannot separate him from his Lord.